So this is the bar where I work at. This is the Grapefruit Moon on Bathurst Street. But curiously enough, I'm also an anthropologist in grad school doing a research project about alcoholism in Paris. Now these two roles sort of intersect strangely, but instead of focusing on the strange, I actually want to focus on the ordinary, the things that make me love this bar as much as I do. One of them is our owner, Sandy Moon. I want to call her a boss, but she's really sort of a bar mom. She would hate me to say that. I really mean it. She hires her kids to work as dishwashers and servers and cooks. The kids' friends, if they're cash-strapped, can actually get a job washing dishes as well. She makes sure we're all well-fed and happy and getting along. But she also occasionally puts people up. So this is Jeremy, who lives in her basement. He also grew up in the area and sort of grew up in the Moon, like a lot of kids. Now he started as a dishwasher, and he's sort of taken over 100 different roles. And at the end of a long day, he goes back to the boss's house where he lives and just plays Xbox with her son. A life-work distinction here would just be crazy. This placid lad in a ghoulish t-shirt is Colin, who also used to live in her office. He is also my one-time roommate, which means that when our shifts overlap, we're in this tiny area behind the bar. It's like our new living room, so we can joke madly and weirdly with each other in front of all the customers, much to their estrangement. Home is really an idea. It's a sort of relationship as opposed to the building you're in. Although in this case, these two actually live upstairs. She actually works as a bartender. And they're part of a nice, intimate economy. They keep on coming downstairs and spending all the money they save by hour subsidizing their rent because of the noise complaints, which makes us sort of a family. This is Hugh. Our customers are part of our networks as well. He's a regular. He's actually in the back. And he and I become friends, but at the same time, I'm always doing a service for him. It's always for money at the end of the day. So I have to wear two hats, and we switch sort of fluidly between these roles over the course of very brief moments. And he, I think, can read my body language and know whether I'm being Mr. Bartender. The art on the walls was provided by a community group that is trying to raise funds for a special needs program. We get the art, or, well, we try to sell it for their behalf. We get the decoration, and they get the money. As an anthropologist, I'm always suspicious of abstractions as best I can be, and community has always been a vague, almost vacuum for me. But that's what we mean by community, I think, those concrete partnerships. And in community, we also include our producers, notably local craft beer producers. Now, I'm not sure who defines what the local is, what that means exactly, but for us it means relationships that are concrete, tight. We each have a stake in each other's reputation and the quality of product and service, and so we're together on it. But of course, despite these relationships, things do change. This single tap here is from Quebec. It's an excellent beer, but it does mean if we keep it that we're going to have to give up on our ethos of local craft beer delivery. So the end effect of that is exposure to whole new sets of expectations as we sort of make claims on the national. It's sort of a branding crisis in a way. Change comes to us through objects. This is how it's brought to us as a reminder or a marker. Remember the Sky Dome, for instance? I once saw a father look with such nostalgia at this blimp as his son pummeled the ground with it. That's all I actually want to say about this. I had a few points, but let's all bask in the nostalgia as it creeps warmly over us, if you don't mind. Pee Wee Herman, too, is a marker of change. An increasing number of people come through our door, and they are too young, somehow, to know about his little porn theater peccadillo of some years past. So you can see the younger people, they joke about his natty suit and his little face, and the rest of us are still making sly, disgusting remarks to each other. So these markers of change can also divide us as well as bring us together. This is the booth in the back, our Lascaux cave. There's sort of a palimpsest of traces here. You can see time marked on the wall layer by layer by layer, almost a generation deep. So as much as it's a marker of change, though, it's also a marker of something perennial, the human urge to claim space, to mark space, make it your own. It's also a cool hangout for teens. We all do this, though. This is my space. This is the ledge out front of the window. I can see the bar while I smoke on my breaks. It's quite convenient for me. Whereas the rest of the staff members tend to scuttle off to the back and smoke near the trash. I don't know their reasoning. My point, though, is that space sort of becomes part of us. So when we want to have a cigarette together, we wordlessly, intuitively split apart, go in different directions, and attend to different attachments, different spaces. But so, too, does space make claims on us. This is a cramped little kitchen quarters. If there's more than a couple people in there, we have to flatten our chests, cuddle up next to the counter, waltz with each other. But it leaves this impression anyway. When I'm there alone late at night, I have all the space I can need, but I still walk around like a wary spelunker. It's left an imprint of caution on my body. This is the thing in itself. the liquor. Despite the labels, all these will do roughly the same thing to you, but not to your sense of self, apparently. People embed these into styles, obviously, and they come in. I mean, I'll also say that if someone walks in, pardon me, in full tweed, you're not going to start preparing a Jaeger bomb. Beneath all the sociality, though, there is a network of rules and law that a lot of you as customers might not be familiar with. So this clock, for instance, tells me when I'm about to become a criminal for serving you a pint. I have 57 minutes left. This makes time, for me, is sort of a constant companion on the job. I always have to be aware. It's a stranger to the customers, though, and I reintroduce them at the end of the night with a last call, and you can see them all come back to their watches, startled, and reach for their wallets. Space, too, is obviously part of this sort of power structure. To the top, we have our patio. To the bottom, we have the sidewalk. If you cross this line, you're a criminal. And I am culpable for your villainy, so don't do it. It seems arbitrary, but if you were to get rid of this line, this being the front trench of civilization, then so too would the borders have to go, and we'd be left in an anarchy without maps. Responsibility, too, is a strange thing. If someone was to pass out against this pole out front of a restaurant, I would be liable for it. Responsibility expands and contracts based on situation. It has no enduring form or center, and situationally it's quite strange. So if you pass out here, it's my fault. You get in a car, my fault and your fault. You miss work the next day, your fault. Always situational. And so this is why here I'm diligently keeping tabs. I'm not just writing down what you've had, I'm also keeping a note of what I should not give you. So it's part of maintaining my own sense of responsibility. And behind my pleasant facade is a very keen observer of your vices. So beware. Anyway, bars can be a lot of things. This has been my point, if I've had one. This has been a bit sprawling, I know. They've been centers of revolution. They've been the staging ground for discrimination, segregation, and the collapsing of these things. Mine, historically, may be a bit more tame, but I do hope it's been worth your attention. So thank you.